2 weeks. That's how long it took a simple onboarding task to spiral out of control. A new client signed, the team was excited, an automated sequence triggered, and in minutes, 2 kickoff calls booked, 3 project folders created, and 5 versions of the same contract floating around in different places. Was automation the problem? No. The problem was the data underneath it. Welcome to Tech Talks with Grace, practical conversations on automation, AI, and technology that help businesses work smarter, scale faster, and stay ahead. I'm Grace, your guide through the practical side of modern operations. This show is built on 12 pillars that help you prioritize the right work at the right time. Today we begin with Pillar 1, Foundations, Data Integrity and Automation Readiness. In this episode, why data integrity determines everything you can automate. If you've ever felt like your tools are powerful, but your outcomes are unpredictable, this is for you. Because automation doesn't fix broken processes, it amplifies them. Good data turns automation into a growth engine. Bad data turns it into chaos faster. By the end of this episode, you'll know the 5 elements of data integrity, how to diagnose and fix the silent failures hiding in your systems. I'll provide a real case study of a team that cut onboarding time by 90%, and a 3-step mini workshop that you can do today in under 5 minutes to get immediate wins. Let's start with a story that you might recognize. Imagine you run an e-commerce brand. Orders flow through Shopify. Customer emails are live in a CRM. Tickets arrive in your help desk. Marketing automations hum in the background. You build a small automation. When a high-value customer makes a purchase, you send a personalized thank you, assign a concierge rep, and add them to a loyalty segment. Simple, sensible, smart. But this happens instead. Half the customers get the wrong name in the email. A few never get assigned to anyone. Some are added to 2 segments and receive 3 emails in one afternoon. All of a sudden, your team scrambles to apologize. Guess what? Your automation didn't fail. Your data did. Here's the truth. Automation is judgment-free. Again, automation is judgment-free. It will execute whatever you tell it with whatever data you provide. If the data is clean, you scale excellence. If it's messy, you scale confusion. Think of data as your ingredients, your systems as the kitchen, and automation as the chef. No matter how talented this chef is, if your ingredients are mislabeled, expired, missing, the meal won't be right. And if the chef is faster, you just make a bad meal faster. So here's the foundation. Clean, consistent data is the start of every improvement you will ever make. That's what allows automation to work reliably, repeatably, and at scale. So before you automate anything, get these 5 elements in place. I'll give you a micro story for each so it sticks. When thinking about consistency, ask yourself this question. Are fields captured the same way every time? Here's a little story for you. So sales team logs industry or that industry category 5 different ways. FinServe, financial, finance, FS, and banking. So with all those different categories in that segment, marketing is trying to segment by that industry. Reports look a little weird, right? What's the fix? 1 drop-down list, 1 controlled vocabulary. Chaos disappears. There's your consistency. So what do? How do you approach this? You have a checklist. Replace any free text with drop-downs. Standardize your date formats, your phone numbers, your name fields. Define 1 naming convention for clients, projects, and files. And this will allow you to keep consistent data in your systems at all times. Moving on to point 2, accuracy. Okay, now you've got standardized data. Is your data correct and current? So let's look at a little story here. A C-suite relies on a dashboard with stale revenue data because the integration syncs nightly, but finance updates happen in the middle of the day. So board decisions are made on yesterday's numbers. What do we do here? We created a checklist where we're going to align and sync the frequency with your business decisions. Use validation rules to prevent typos and impossible values. Create an owner field for key accounts. Remember, humans are the ones that maintain the accuracy. Your data is as good as your person maintaining the data. Moving on to point 3, completeness. Are your essential fields missing? Using a little story here. So let's say legal sends contracts for signature without the billing entity listed. Everything stops. The client's excited, ready to go, but your process isn't. How do we address this? Here's a little checklist for you. Make mission critical fields required. Build form logic, knowing that. So if your contract type equals retainer, then payment terms is required if you're not a contingency fee contract type. Add some guardrails. So no task moves to complete, done, or ends the task until the required fields are filled. Moving on to connectivity. Do your tools talk to each other reliably? So let's say your CRM and your project manager sync, but the mapping is wrong. Your deal owner maps to your task name. Now your board tasks are called Samantha Lee. The team laughs until deadlines slip. Make sure your systems talk to each other. Do your tools talk to each other reliably? Here's a little bit of a help for you, a checklist. Audit your field mappings quarterly. Doesn't have to happen every day. Test your bidirectional syncs with sample records. Use test records. Don't use live production records. Choose one system as the source of truth for each data type. When I speak about source of truth, I'm talking about a single point of entry where everybody continues to maintain the data that's in that system. In your CRM, your case management software, whatever it might be, there needs to be a single source of truth for each data type. Now, moving on to what I think is probably the most important point of all of this and data is stewardship. Who owns the health of your data? So let's look at it this way. Here's a small story. If everyone assumes someone is cleaning duplicates, no one is. Reporting will break, trust erodes. So what do? You need to assign a data steward by system or function. Set a light maintenance rhythm, weekly spot checks, monthly merges, quarterly audits. Track a few simple KPIs like your duplication rate, how much of the required fields are complete, how often the syncs between your systems have any errors, which is called the sync error rate. These may sound like some larger terms, but these terms are very simple terms within your CRM and within your systems, and you just need to make sure that all your systems do speak with each other. That is the key in what I'm telling you here. So when you have these 5 in place, automation becomes predictable. Your team trusts it. Your metrics become usable. Your decisions get sharper. So let's bring this to life with a real example. We'll call the firm Northbridge Consulting. It's a 15-person professional services team. So we've got Liam, the founder, Maya, the operations lead, and Jordan, the account manager, who, quote unquote, keeps everything running with heroic effort. So their vision is to automate the onboarding. After the signed proposal comes in, it creates a CRM record, it generates a project space, assigns the correct team, sends a welcome packet, and schedules a kickoff call. It's pretty simple, repeatable, fairly hands-off, right? So what actually happens? The reality? It ends up duplicating records in the CRM. Email templates are filled with the wrong names. 2 tools are already out of sync by 48 hours later. Tasks assigned to the wrong roles. And then 3 versions of the same folder structure. No one's sure which is real. So then Miles says, we don't have an automation problem. We have a data problem. Guess what? She's 100% right. So let's take this one piece at a time. What's the diagnosis? Intake forms had 2 different versions, circulating with different required fields. There were 5 different naming conventions for clients at the same time. The CRM tags meant 10 different things to 10 different people. The project tool that was assumed the CRM field of project type, that was the assumption anyway, right? It was actually called service line. And finance used the client's legal entity. Sales used the brand name. Nothing matched. No one's using the same fields. No one's using the consistent data. And the templates and everything are all over the place. How do we fix this? It freaks everybody out, right? The systems are not working. Automation's not working. That's what you usually hear. So here's the plan. They had to pause automation for 2 weeks. Scary? A little. Necessary? Absolutely. So what did they do? They did it in 5 steps, 5 very simple moves. They took the naming conventions and unified it. They had the client, brand, year, and then project type. This made it clear, searchable, and everyone agreed to this naming convention. They standardized one intake form so that they had one canonical version with mission-critical fields made required and conditional logic to keep it human-friendly. Remember, data is there and the required fields are there to help support the people that are inputting the data. So what did they do next? They made sure that the mapping between the data was fixed. So they had service line equal PM, which is equaling the project type. One source of truth, back to that same concept, right, everybody? You want one single source of truth, one direction of sync, no ambiguity. They fixed their templates. Don't need to go over in detail, but essentially just making sure that the contact first name is a field, not a guess, and a required field. First name capitalized as per normal when it comes to those types of fields. And to me, one of the most important things that they did, honestly, is appointing a data steward. I can't tell you how often it is that most people believe that this is one of the least necessary, but becomes the most necessary part of any systems, a data steward. So in appointing Jordan, he became their data steward. 2 hours on Fridays, he reviewed all the duplicates, he merged them, he checked any required field errors, and he also reviewed any general sync error reviews. All through reporting, all through systems, and not overwhelming to any one person. Once that was done, they had the plan was executed, and things were put to a timeline. They had the rebuild on week 3. Again, week 1, cleaning everything up. Week 2, making sure that everything was repaired. And then on week 3, they were able to rebuild the automation and re-enable it. But only after the data behaved. So you can get your outcomes in essentially 45 days. How do we do that? With those outcomes in 45 days, with those 5 different points that I just went over, you will be able to truly cut onboarding time from 10 hours to less than an hour. Mind-blowing, right? Your duplicate contacts will drop by 92%. Again, remember, it's a data steward. This is something that they're doing on a regular basis. This is not something that all hands on deck, now all of a sudden our data has to be cleaned. No, you maintain clean systems, clean data with required fields and required information. The missed handoffs dropped to almost 0 because the automation and templates were all clean. The team moved from fixing fires to improving the playbook. And now leadership could forecast capacity accurately for the first time in a year. So guess what? Liam came back and said, we didn't need more automation. We needed better ingredients. That's the point. Automation is a multiplier. Multiply the right things. All right, so I promised you a little workshop that you could take today, right? So here we go. Let's do a little 5-minute tune-up that you can use now, today. If you're at your desk, open the tool you use the most. If you're on the go, just listen and pick one thing to act on later. Step 1, we're going to call this our consistency check. Take you about 60 seconds, okay? So again, open one workflow you run weekly. Intake, deal creation, onboarding. take a look at this. Are your fields consistent every time? Are there free text fields where a drop-down would be better? Is the date format uniform? Okay, now that you've taken a look, we're going to wait just a few seconds. Okay, now moving on to the second step in this 5-minute workshop, your tune-up here. Let's look at your sync health. Pick one integration in this tool. Give you an example, your CRM to your project manager, or your CRM to your email marketing tool integration. Think about this now. Okay, are your fields mapping documented? Again, are the field mappings documented? Meaning, is your first name mapped to the integration with your email marketing for the first name? Is it integrated with last name? Is it the full name? These are things that you absolutely need to check and review on a regular basis. This is about your sync health between two systems. Moving on to the next thing. Which direction is the source of truth? So does your CRM tell your project management system, or does your project management system tell your CRM the information? Where does this information come into? Where does it reside? And where is it reviewed on a regular basis? And most importantly, I cannot tell you enough, when did you last test it with a sample record? Test, test, test in all systems as often as possible with test records. Check your syncs. Okay, now, that was step 2. We've looked at, very briefly, your consistency, right? Your one workflow. Are your consistent fields? Are your free text fields? That could be a drop down. Is your date format uniform? Moving on to sync health, we looked at your integrations. Which way do they go? Are the mappings documented somewhere? Do you have a legend for your teammates? Does everyone know where stuff lies and where does it come from? And then step 3. Again, 3 steps. This is the last one. One naming convention. You have to choose a single standard for your files or your projects. Write it down. Share it with your team. Apply it to anything created from today forward. Again, from today forward, meaning any new information will have this same naming convention that everyone is aware of, everyone sees, and everyone knows. It makes it super simple for everybody to be able to generate the correct files, search for the correct files, and it will also improve any automation that you then use later on using the names of files. So that's it. 3 actions, immediate clarity. You can scale this later, but start right now. So now I want to get a little bit into the myths that everybody hears about data, right? There's some pitfalls and decisions that you have to make. What's a myth that you've heard? Well, we'll clean the data later, after we automate. Listen, the reality is, automation entrenches whatever exists now. Clean it first. I like to say, and a lot of people don't like to hear it, but it's the truth. Garbage in, garbage out. Dirty data begets dirty information in reporting. It will not help you ever to have the data dirty and then automate it. You're just automating disasters. So clean it first. That's the reality. The second myth I've heard multiple times is people will naturally enter data correctly. Look, we're all busy. Everyone's busy. People are busy. You need to design the system for the defaults, not willpower, not somebody's because I decided to enter it this time versus last time. Make sure you design it so that people have required fields and the information that you absolutely need to do and run your business is included. Another myth I've heard, oh, let me get another system. Let me get another integration tool. Let me get another piece of software. Again, I've heard more tools equals more power. I can do more with less. Absolutely not, ladies and gents. Here's the reality of that statement. More tools do not equal more power. More tools equal more mappings, more failure points. Remember, you need to keep your stack intentional So everything that you implement, everything that you touch, everything that you use is for a purpose and not just because it looks good, it has a wonderful name, and it's what everybody else is doing right now. Use the tools that make sense for your business and make sure that your data is clean and everything will work exactly as expected because you planned to do that. So, some really common pitfalls that I've heard over and over again. So about 3 or 4 of them really that I think you should keep in the back of your mind whenever you're dealing with thinking about data, thinking about systems. So never allow free-form fields for critical values. They should be a drop down. It should be some sort of input that you automatically have, so that you should always have the required fields as something that is auto-selected by the individual in a drop down so that they don't have to think. In other words, the example I gave earlier, if you know the industry and the industry category is banking or finances or financial services, make it a drop down so that all of a sudden somebody doing the intake on this side is entering the word banking, the other one's entering the word finance, another one entering banking services. When you do a report on all the categories or industries that have come to you as a client, you'll never know unless you have a standardized field, you've made it required, and now when the intake happens, it's automated, it's in there. So don't allow free-form fields for critical values. Do not have two sources of truth for the same data. This is where I find a lot of businesses have what I like to say their lead system and then their CRM or case management software. Now, while by all means, I understand the need to keep separate systems for your leads versus your cases or retained clients, as an example. However, if you can keep a single source of truth, that will be much easier. You will have less points of failure and less requirements for integration between systems. So, as an example, if your CRM has the system or the availability to have leads and run leads the way you would in some other system, I would say do that, or do your best to make sure that as much of that is inside of that system as possible. And then you have a different field or different required field that converts that case that converts that lead into an actual case. So again, just make sure that whatever you do use as your source of truth, whether it's your CRM or your case management software or your project management software, that everybody's aware of what that single source of truth is and that you have one source of truth, not 2, not 3, not 4. Now, moving on to the next common pitfall that I've heard, and honestly, again, I go back to this being one of the most important. You need to name a data steward or a steward that has no time budget, because the data integrity, your data, is the lifeblood of your business. You need to make sure that whoever is responsible for data stewardship has the ability, has been given the tools, and plenty of time to ensure that all of these requirements are in place, that syncs are reviewed, and that data is regularly checked for duplicates and anything thereof that is necessary to the lifeblood of your business. So think of it like this. You don't want to have what they call version sprawl, right? You have 2 different forms, you have 10 different forms, you've got multiple templates, you've got 10 different folders. No one knows where your single source of truth is. So when you look at your systems, when you look at your data, always keep in mind, where's my stuff coming from? Where's my data coming from? Where's my data going to? And understanding that there's the human nature and the human interaction with these fields to be required, to be necessary, and only free text in the fields that make sense to have free text, as in a description field, as an example. So at this point, you might be asking yourself, how do I decide? I mean, what do I look at to understand where do I make my decisions? Where do I change things? Look at it this way. If a field impacts reporting, billing, legal, or downstream automation, make it required. Make it controlled and own it. Okay, I'll repeat that again. If a field impacts reporting, billing, legal, or downstream automation, make it required, controlled, and owned. So, you want a result this week? Take this away with you and replace one free text field with a dropdown. Archive your duplicate form versions. Leave one version of it, one canonical version. Add a last verified date to your accounts so that every time somebody touches it, somebody reviews it, and verifies the data is correct, there's an actual date of when that occurred. And then create a 15-minute Friday data refresh ritual. Just have a general ritual report, regular maintenance of your data. It could be 15 minutes, again, just something that you have to regularly do and maintain that data. So, how do I scale? How do you move on and make sure that this is done not just regularly, but also so that you can grow that business, right? You need to lock in that consistency, enforce completeness, improve accuracy, tighten connectivity, and appoint stewardship. Then, and only then, layer the automation on top of that. All right, everyone. So today we covered why data integrity is the foundation for every automation you'll ever build. We explored the 5 elements: consistency, accuracy, completeness, connectivity, and stewardship. We walked through Northbridge Consulting's transformation, cutting onboarding time by 90%, and you completed a 3-step micro audit that you can repeat anytime. Remember, automation is a multiplier. Make sure you're multiplying quality. Next up, in Pillar 1, we're going to evaluate your tools with a strategic lens. How to choose what to keep, what to consolidate, and what to retire, so that your tech stack stays lean, integrated, and future ready. If you found this useful, share it with a teammate and bring them into the next episode. You'll move faster together. This has been Tech Talks with Grace. Keep your data clean, keep your systems simple, keep your workflows smart.